Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 104 today for the USA Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys didn't miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But in that episode, we had a very decent time for Ferrari, which means we're now on the back of Renault in the Constructors fight. We have a comfy cushion in the Drivers' Championship, but the Constructors, I thought for a few episodes it was kind of too far away for us at Ferrari to really close up to Renault. But if we look at the standings, it's a lot closer. Obviously, Russell getting the win at Mexico, and in general just been doing a better job along with us, and I think both of us kind of been in the top 5 I think for the last 5-6 episodes, apart from maybe his one little off race at the Singapore Grand Prix. So it's meant that we are fully kind of back in it mathematically, and if we're consistent enough for these final 3 races, I think we could very much try and get the Constructors for Ferrari, as well as trying to seal out our Drivers' Championship, which is by no means over yet. We have a cushion, but it could swing through, and USA is always difficult in the race, but it has been decent hunting ground actually for us, ironically, in the last 2 seasons of this career mode then. So let's head over to qualifying then, see how we do over one lap, and hopefully take the momentum we had from Mexico over to USA.
It's time for today's qualifying session to begin here in the United States. Welcome to the Circuit of the Americas. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though, it's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
So as the sun comes down here around the Circuit of the Americas, we go racing here in qualifying Q1, shucking the car through very aggressively in Sectors 1. I must say, with a maxed out car, USA Sector 1 is very nice to drive. Maybe not the rest of it, and you can clearly see very much so not on the end of that lap there in Q1. Got on the curb, got a little bit too wide, and got the power down a little bit too early there, so definitely didn't like the looks and the feel of the last sector of COTA, but definitely the first is very nice in a maxed out car. But that last corner still causes me issues with understeer despite having a fully maxed out Ferrari. I think it's just, honestly, it's just the sun. It's just literally the braking point, trying to guess it and judge where it is. And so by the end of it, we do a second lap that gets us through into Q2. Only just though, P13 there, quite low down on the lowest positions I've had so far in a Q1 position really in the last few episodes. We now move through into Q2, gets a bit more overcast, and we also get a little bit of traffic with Dan Ricciardo, but no bother. We get through the final corner wide again there with some understeer and really just trying to keep the car on a straight line there. That time though, we go fastest of all at the point at which we cross the line, but then by the time the session ends, we're in P4, Russell P6, so good to see the Ferrari then picked up some pace as it usually does in Q2, and so we're through into the top 10 shootout, along with both Renaults looking strong, and also Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris, all the kind of championship contenders in the top 10. That's what you love to see. So now we move through into that top 10. You can see Russell way down in P9 at the moment. I've just sat there for 5 minutes because I only have 1 set of soft tires, because of course I used 2 sets in Q1 with that spin and horrendous first lap I had, so we only have 1 run here, so I thought I'd just wait till kind of towards the back end part of the session then. But I really hope that the pace that Russell has is just a bit of a, well, either he's made a mistake or that's a glitch, because sometimes it can be a little bit glitchy with the simulation times when you fast forward through sessions, so hopefully it's just a bit of a glitch kind of there. At the moment, Hamilton is on provisional pole, which is surprising to see, because I thought it would be the Renaults kind of right up there from their pace in Q1 and Q2, but across the line for us, it's going to be provisional pole for us then. And as we finish off the session, it will be pole position at the USA Grand Prix. Very surprising. I mean, it was a very tidy, decent lap there. Sector 1 was really decent. Sector 3 as well. You can see how close it was, though, between the likes of Devin Butler. Surprising to see the Red Bulls right up there, but very, very close in qualifying. But there's a massive caveat to all of this. And like I mentioned, Russell there in P9. I think that's just a bit of a glitch time for him to be in Q3. But there's a massive caveat to this. I said this at the end of last episode. The gearbox was a little bit worn at the end of last episode. It's actually on nearly 70% worn there, or going into it, and definitely will fail mid-race, and I'll lose a gear if I take this gearbox in. We've only got 3 races left, so I'm going to take 1 final penalty. I really hope this is the last penalty I have to take in this entire season. 1 gearbox penalty, 5 places back, and that should sort us for the end of the season, because engine-wise, I think we're all fine. Gearbox definitely should last 3 races on 1 new gearbox, so the final penalty of this season. So let's hope that my pace in qualifying was more representative of the Ferrari Ferrari pace rather than Russell's there, otherwise we might have quite a torrid time here at the USA GP. By the way, let's go to Sunday, see if anyone has any other penalties as well on the grid, and we'll get going for the race.
In 2012, America's on-again, off-again love affair with Formula One finally seemed to settle down with the completion of this wonderful racing facility here in Texas. Since then, we've been treated to some incredible races, including, of course, that classic wet-dry championship decider of 2015. We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas, overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track, and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. Everything's on the line here today and the title hangs in the balance. So how do you think they'll be coping with all that pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole position today, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Stroll, the engineer, and Weber, Norris, Russell, Raikkonen, and Devon Butler. They've taken a grid penalty. Vettel, Giovinazzi, Charles Leclerc, and Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Grosjean, Valtteri Bottas, and Daniel Kvyat. Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So here we are then in P5, not P6, with Devon Butler also taking grid penalties. So quite funny enough, the entire front row that actually officially got the front row is not there on the front row today on the grid for the USA GP. So from P5, in terms of the strategy, I want to go aggressive here. We could do the one stop on the hard tyres, but I feel like let's have some fun. Let's go aggressive with the two stop there with two sets of soft tyres and the mediums. The tyre wear also has been pretty bad overall this season. The Ferrari definitely has been a little bit harder on its tyres, I feel, than the Mercedes was that I drove last season. So I think also the two-stop will be somewhat necessary for us just to kind of get through with kind of ease of driving, if you will, because this first stint's going to be pretty hard. It always is at USA with the tyre carcass temperature always being quite difficult to control there. And I think also a lot of people will be doing a two-stop. From last season, we saw quite a few people actually did two stops here, even with the kind of higher tyre wear upgrade. So I don't think we'll be a kind of, the odd one out, as it were, in the top 10. But like I said, also just kind of having some fun, basically. We've got a bit of a cushion, so may as well just try and go hard and fast and try and enjoy the race as well. So without further ado, let's get into this then as we go towards 5 red lights here in Austin, Texas for the USA Grand Prix from P5 on the grid. 5 red lights are out and we're underway. It's a pretty mediocre start for us there compared to Hamilton there. Stroll gets a decent one in the Red Bull. Verstappen down the inside for P1 against Sergio Perez there. Around the outside here, I think it's Lucas Weber who's made a great start there on the right there as we nearly bang tyres as we go down the hill now, the subtle right, and then into the S section there as we can just get ahead of Weber and tuck in for P5. But it's Verstappen that does lead the way then. The Dutchman with a really nice pass into turn 1 for the race lead. Perez in second place. Then Stroll got the better of Hamilton as well. So that Red Bull does actually have some decent pace, it would seem like, with Stroll getting past Hamilton. Obviously one of my championship rivals, now in a sandwich with my championship rivals Hamilton and Weber. And I believe Russell has had an okay start. I believe these might just be 2 positions back from Lucas Weber. But as we move on to lap number 2, like I mentioned in the build-up here, the tyres already an issue. You can see the carcass tyre temperatures were so bad in the S section, and that means by the time we get through to the end of the straight, Weber just gets me on the braking there. We're actually under attack from Lando Norris as well. But you can see every single kind of tight, twisty corner, the front tyres are cooking, and the rear tyres are also doing so in the S section in Sector 1. And so right now, already thinking about wanting to pit on it, honestly, on lap number 3, but we can't because it's way too early, even for a 2-stop here. But here comes Lando Norris now, chasing us down, and he dives down the inside because I've got no confidence under braking because of the tyres, because they're so cooked. Even if I brake in a straight line and you just kind of wait as long as I can to turn the car, the rear end and the front end just start to get a little bit wayward and snap out of me already just because the tyres are so hot and just don't have any kind of workability to them. I guess you could say that's not really a word, but we'll go with it as we now move on to lap number 3. We've had to save the tyres a little bit. So I've just been sat here behind Norris with lean mixture. I'm now back to rich, but I wasn't lean to save the engine temps. But now on lap number 4, you can see personal best lap time. I've kind of now settled down the tyres, and now I want to try and push again, try and see if we can get Norris. I kind of almost have to make these overtakes and then kind of save the tyres once again, because by the time I try and go for the move, they will start to cook again. So here we go now into sector 1 of lap number 4. We're going to get down the inside of Norris just about. It's a supremely satisfying overtake there on the inside into that left-hander before the S section up into P6. And now look at the closing speed here. The power of this car with DRS and the engine power is absolutely ridiculous. From so far back, we close up to Lucas Weber around the outside, and it's like we never had any tyre issues at all. But that's what happens when you spend 2 laps just sitting behind the car ahead of you and just letting the tyres cool off. I can actually make some moves now. But by the time we get 2 laps later, then lap number 6, Weber is coming back at us now. No real major issues with the tyres now. They kind of settled down a little bit. It's more just Weber coming at us with a decent car. Obviously, the Renault has some decent race pace there. He tries to go around the outside. We're going to have to give him the room there. He's got the nose in, so we have to give him some more room. I tried to go for the switchback move here on the apex, the tighter line, but it just didn't work out. Didn't get the traction I wanted. You can see the rear end steps out, and so in the end of it, just a bit of an awkward situation there, being behind Weber and also having to defend against Norris at the same time, because straight away Norris was on the back of me sniffing around for a position. But we're going to box in this lap then, so that's maybe 1 or 2 laps earlier than my engineer or I was wanting to maybe come in, but the tyre wear is really kicking in, and it's only a matter of time before the carcass temperature also goes once again like it did on lap 1 and lap number 2. So I thought I'd just come in for the mediums now. We're going to save the second set of softs for the end of the Grand Prix, because in theory on lower fuel maybe the car doesn't push the tyres too as hard into the road as it did in the opening laps of this race, and so maybe the carcass temperature won't be too difficult at the end of this race on the softs. So right now we opt for the medium tyres. The history at this GP is the mediums actually go pretty okay. There's not much of an issue with the carcass temperature on the mediums and the hards. It's really just all about the soft tyres, but obviously you have to start on that tyre because we qualified on them in Q2. But we swing through now, lap number 9, the fast up the Grand Prix. Just shows you how slow everyone has been going on their set of worn tyres. Even the AI must be getting some issues with their carcass temperatures. So now we catch up to this train now, Tanker Fiat. You can see that's Verstappen, the race leader, remember, just come out ahead of Sergio Perez, who was in second place. So we've already leaped, in theory, then the likes of Hamilton and Stroll. We go round the outside of Fiat with a really nice move in the S section, and technically now we must be in a net P3 now, because Perez was in second, Verstappen was first, unless I'm mistaken, and somewhere, you know, they got overtaken by Hamilton and Stroll. I doubt it though, because Verstappen and Perez looked pretty quick at the start of that race, pulling away. I think we're very much in P3, so the power of the undercut and the power of fresh tyres versus the worn soft tyres on this circuit is just knows no bounds, obviously. Really good example there. So here we come now through DRS. Perez got blocked off a little bit by Verstappen, so he's real slow, and now we get the double toe off Verstappen there as well, and we pull through for a 3-wide move here. It's me, Verstappen, and Sebastian Vettel there. Some really good company to go 3 wide there with, and we squeeze out Verstappen really supremely, and we're up into P8 now, and technically I think that might just be the net race lead. We'll have to see though. I don't know what Hamilton's doing. Seems like he's going longer. Maybe the Mercedes team are trying a 1-stop. It would seem like Verstappen, Perez and all them lot are all doing a 2-stop with me, because they've all come onto medium tyres or the softs, and I would say that usually indicates the 2-stop. Even on the mediums, I think you would say a 2-stop. I think it's going to be very, very difficult, and you need miracles to make a 1-stop work on mediums from this sort of lap. So we now come through to catch up to Kevin Magnussen now, up into P6 as Russell now finally makes his pit stop. We come through to the inside there of the Dane into turn 1, get the apex sorted, and we're up into P5. Raikkonen ahead of us, quite a bit of a gap to him, as he's going a lot longer in this GP, would seem like. And as we move through to the end of the lap, he's actually now finally come in, I think, along with Butler, and also I think that turquoise dot is Hamilton then. So that is Butler in, Hamilton in, and we are up into P3, and I think the next 2 cars along will eventually come in. Yes, they will on lap number 12. So we will be up into first place of the USA Grand Prix. So that is such a powerful undercut. Although, to be fair, fair play to Hamilton. He's there in second place on the medium tyres. He's gone a long way on that first set of soft tyres, and he somehow had the pace to actually jump Verstappen and Perez. I guess maybe the traffic also that Perez and Verstappen had to encounter with Vettel and the likes of them maybe also kind of played into that, but massively impressive from Hamilton to actually manage that many laps on softs and actually have pace to still jump some cars there. Meanwhile, speaking about jumping some cars, we've got Russell now making some moves here on the McLaren of Lando Norris, I think that is, as they go side by side still. No, sorry, Sergio Perez actually, as Norris is behind Weber there in the other Renault, but Perez and Russell going side by side still for now. This is almost half a lap, this will be, as they go through the quick double right-hander there into the last two corners. Russell the long way around. This is a titanic battle between Russell and Perez, and he gets the job done eventually there. So my teammate showing the car does have some pace in it, as he's now finally up into, I think that's P4, I think, is now he's closing up to, this is Max Verstappen, who is in third place. So you can see up the road in the distance is myself and Hamilton in first and second. So here comes Russell now trying to get P3. So this would be a 1-3 at the moment for Ferrari. So showing the race pace is still very much there with the car. So maybe just a blip in qualifying, or like I said, a glitch in qualifying for Russell's P9. But he doesn't actually get the move done just yet there. Verstappen able to hold off, but it's only a matter of time. And in a straight line, like we saw earlier with myself, this car is supremely great, as we also do a bit of defensive work against Hamilton as Hamilton starts to close up to us. So the Merc, or at least in the hands of Hamilton, that Merc is showing some great pace as well, though, and actually some worrying pace. So I think Hamilton almost, I don't know, I want to say he's maybe got a very good chance of this race win, because he went so long on softs. I talked about earlier there being a miracle of you doing a one-stop on mediums. I think Hamilton might just be pulling off that miracle, because he went so long on the soft tyres. Meanwhile, Russell and Verstappen come in for their second stop there, one lap earlier on lap 18, and on the next lap, lap 19, I'm going to come in for my second stop there onto a set of soft tyres, whereas Verstappen and Russell are both coming in for a set of mediums. They both went for soft, medium. So we did the kind of contra strategy there, so opting to be a little bit quicker and punchier at the end of this Grand Prix. But of course the caveat is I might still face some tyre issues, because I don't have any fresh softs, remember. These soft tyres are actually 7% worn already, so maybe at the end of this Grand Prix there might be a tinge of issues on the rear end or the front end. Let's see, as we now come out. It's been a pretty slow in-lap for us and a fast out-lap for Russell, as he's right on the back of us there, almost jumps us, but he practically pushes us through the corner. So some decent pace there for Russell on that new set of mediums, and I wasn't too quick at the end of my medium tyre stint. Russell now coming through at a rate of north. Not going to fight him too much. There's no point fighting him really that much, because I will have a good chance to get him once again on that, in that same place the next lap. And also remember, my tyres are still heating up because it's the out lap for me, and so like I said, by the time we get to lap 21, you know, easy does it. No need to fight him too much. He won't fight us too much. Also in this straight, I'm going to re-overtake him now for P5 as it is. Raikkonen will be for position, but I think he's going to be pretty damn slow, because he's doing the same thing as Hamilton, I think, going long on the mediums for that one-stop strategy perhaps. So you can see there he's actually almost brake checking us in the last corner on lap 21 onto lap 22. We set the fast lap of the Grand Prix whilst we do it, as we catch Raikkonen, and here we go down the inside up into P4. Stroll and Butler with a very impressive 2-3 for Red Bull, but we got a little bit wayward in turn 1, and you know what, Raikkonen has just sent a worldly switchback move on us into turn 1. We're going to try and squeeze him out there and be a little bit aggressive, and that helps out Russell get the position there. So a little bit cheeky, but some Ferrari tactics there, some teamwork tactics to get both of us up the position into P4 and P5 respectively. And now we go on and push on lap 24, purple first sector, green second sector, across the line. It's going to be the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but then Russell immediately puts in the fast lap of the Grand Prix and beats that again. So showing that myself and Russell both have some decent pace, again showing the car has genuine race pace here. It's just a shame the tyre wear wasn't there, because it very much seems like all these guys will be for position. Hamilton, don't think he'll be pitting now. If he does, that'll be a very stupid action. But here we come now, closing up to Lance Stroll at least there, who's struggling in the second Red Bull there. Butler obviously in second place. Down the inside we go of the Canadian there. It'll be a pretty easy move actually, as that Red Bull's pretty slow in a straight line, and we're up into P3 of the GP. So the podium position, that's I guess all I can ask for already, considering all the kind of situations here of Hamilton and Butler going for the one stop. And the thing I was hoping for was Russell also coming in and overtaking Stroll, and we have to wait till the last lap of the Grand Prix to see that. Russell with the DRS open there, Stroll well a sitting duck, and so Russell will get up into P4 of the USA Grand Prix. Here we are in P3. There's Russell confirming he's through into P4. So it'll be a 3-4 then at the end of the day for Scuderia Ferrari. Not too bad considering we did the 2-stop. I think we're the highest 2-stoppers here in this race. Hamilton and Butler, fair play, doing the 1-stop on medium tyres. Bonkers stuff. Hamilton in a world of his own. Literally, like I said, pulling off miracles there, that is, doing a 1-stop on medium tyres. Fair play to him. Definitely this Ferrari car did not have the tyre wear for it. I guess that kind of shows how I was able to do a 1-stop last season here at the USA GP if Hamilton could do it again in Season 5. So maybe just the Ferrari doesn't have the same tyre wear as the Mercedes car when it's maxed out. But we come across the line nonetheless for a decent podium position there and a P4 for George Russell.
Good job, you did really well. Super driving.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Hamilton first place, then myself in third. It does mean the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton actually swings it all the way back there. I didn't actually clock that happened actually until I saw the table here. I was actually feeling pretty damn happy about that race. P3-4, I thought, yeah, limited damage, still got a decent cushion. We don't anymore. Quite shockingly, Hamilton rubbed off the entire advantage there in one race. Only the difference from first and third. So it just shows how close things actually still were, maybe. Maybe I took the cushion for granted in a way at the start of this race. So Hamilton only 3 points behind us then. So the pressure is on to try and finish out this championship in the last 2 races. And it looks like it is very much now a 2-horse race between 2 former teammates. Obviously, I was teammates with Hamilton last season. We didn't have a championship fight in the way I kind of necessarily wanted to. Merc v Merc last season. I ended up having a fight with Pierre Gasly instead in the Red Bull at the time. But now, here it is. Myself v Hamilton there. Ferrari v Merc in a way kind of more exciting being in different cars because we have no kind of team orders or kind of, any kind of urge to kind of be too respectful to each other, I guess, on the track. But positive news, though, from that race, because of that 3-4 we got, and with Renault having a pretty bad race and a pretty shocking one, all things considered, we are now in first place of the Constructors' Championship. So, literally the first race I said we can maybe try and go for the Constructors. We're now in the lead there, so we've done some mega work. Now just need to, again, like the Drivers' Championship, try and seal this out. Last 2 races, pressure's on. Can we try and get the trophy home for Ferrari? We'll have to see. Obviously, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, 2 races where anything could really, really happen for sure, especially in the F1 game. But guys, if you did enjoy the episode, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly Fallen content. I've been aarava. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.